me thinking out loud and I'm trying to write it down for you. So you kind of follow me along, right? This is how I'm thinking. This is me showing you out loud how I'm thinking and typing it. But when I actually write it on a piece of paper, it will be much shorter. It will be really just a couple of words just for me to understand. This is because I'm sharing this with you guys, yeah? You know how we can shorten this. It will be a very interesting experience if you looked at this plan, you just heard me, and imagine somebody else is asking you, so what are the ideas she's giving you? And you just tell them briefly. How would you shorten my notes as your own notes? You will see the difference. If you do that, you'll be like, oh, we can take these ideas into long like that, extended ideas, and then we can shorten them. And how easy would it be for you to write all of this now in a couple of sentences? You might actually have too much to say, right? Because you have so much. But another beauty is that you don't have to compare contrast. You can skip some of these things. You can shorten them based on the way your language is or how you express yourself. You can shorten these easily, okay? It will be very easy to write, I hope, after this. Agree? And we can do the same for this side. Why some traditions we must keep them? For the sake of the time, I will let you do this for yourself at home later if you want, okay? And you will share your work. I'll check. You can do it like that, or even shorter, as long as, somebody else can follow your plan. Okay, next step. We generated ideas. We understood the question. We had examples, clear, like we know what we're saying. We know what to focus on, what not to focus on. We know that writing is like speaking, and that's what we're essentially doing. And the next step is to decide our opinion. Okay. Now, after I looked at both sides, and by the way, this is enough for me for one paragraph. Yeah. All I just had was one idea. How some weddings or how some celebrations can be bad because they encourage waste. Okay, that's it. Just one argument. Is it enough? Absolutely. As you can see, I have so much to say about it. But if you want, you can use any other, or you can add more if you have time. Caring for no. We need like the respect thing. I can add this one right now. So yeah, just one argument. You can add two arguments. But do you have time to develop each one equally well like that? And then would you have time to write the other side? So if not, then if you don't have enough time, just write one idea per side. Or shorten your development here, which is possible. And then you can add the second one. That way you can have two ideas here, two ideas here. Okay? So there are several ways to do this. Maybe we'll talk about it next time, because we have been already on it for 1 hour. Shall we keep going, people? Yes? Are you following? Not too difficult or confusing? How's it going so far? You guys following? In my head, I'm just, this is so good in my head right now, but yeah, okay, thank you. Then we'll continue a little bit. Yeah, for sure. Awesome. Thank you, guys. Okay, next up is decide your opinion. Oops. Decide your opinion. Because some people asked now, what if we want to show it depends? Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. This is how critical thinkers think, because rarely it's just one thing, right? So, now, as for a position, earlier I said, because the question is asking to what extent, where's that question? To what extent you agree? That means how much, okay? In simple terms, like how much you agree or disagree. You can agree absolutely, you can disagree absolutely, or you can be like, well, depends partly. Because I have really strong arguments and that's how I really feel. I feel like I want to say my opinion is that it depends. Yeah, it depends on the tradition. Some traditions, good, like respecting the elderly, or valuing family, forming families, having that close bond with one another, because that has been always important, right? It's also an invention, actually, like human invention. Prehistorically, our ancestors did not live always in families. I don't think so. But it's a good thing to have. You have that good support, of like various sorts. So I think it's a good thing. So there's some traditions that are good. Some traditions good, but others not. So bad traditions should be forgotten. So bad ones should go and good ones should stay. That's it. Now, I hope it's not a confusing position, right? Good ones should stay. That's it. That's one possible opinion you can have. Some people might be like, no, I completely disagree with this. You can absolutely do that. No, I completely, okay, this is, let's say, option A, okay? Option B. No, I completely disagree. I completely disagree that traditions are good. Traditions good. All should be forgotten. We need new, you know. You could totally say that. We need all new and old should be forgotten. Or third option is, I mean, let's check actually, because the question was saying there's no point in keeping them. So yeah, you see the question, the essay question is already giving you one opinion. Let's say that's my opinion. And I am telling you already that many, by the way, not all, right? So many are bad. Do you agree? Then we'll have to be like, yes. This will be yes. Yes, I completely agree. And that traditions are many traditions, that's many or most of the traditions are bad and we need new ones. Or here will be no. No. Many traditions good. Many traditions good. So this will be I totally disagree. And final beautiful thing about our plan when we looked at both sides, people, I'm going to tell you this. Our plan goes to any of this, okay? Now, this is my, let's say my plan. So I will have this opinion and use this plan to support that. I just need to develop the other side, remember? And said, then I will start with body 1, body 2. And the trick here is, like, again, which is part of the task response, is to keep it very clear. Because if I say it depends, I should develop both sides equally, you know? I cannot develop one side more strongly than the other and say that it depends. Then it will be confusing, right? If I say both are good, depending on the situation, I should equally develop them, like not to be stronger here and weaker there. Then I'll be confusing. And if we choose this side, if we choose this opinion, I completely agree that then we can discuss both, but one side will be from one angle. So if I choose this side, here's how the structure is going to go. Essay outline, maybe. So this will be like good for task response and cohesion coherence. So essay outline or structure. CC and task response. So for this one, since I agree that many traditions are, I agree, bad, I should say. Since many traditions are bad, I hope you guys are not confused about this. This one is good. Yeah, makes sense. Okay, now it's logical. So then body 1, I will talk about why some traditions can be good. Traditions good, like respecting elderly. Or what else we talked about? Living in families, you know, small groups like that, where we have the support, financial, emotional, physical, whatever. Body paragraph 2 would be, but most traditions bad. See? And we can add some linking words or structural phrases, signposting language, if you will, to make things clear. Like we can say, like, on the one hand, some can be good, sure, but on the other hand, most of them are bad. Here's why. See, when I write like that, in conclusion, that's enough. It's not confusing, I hope, is it? When you read two sides, but I'm choosing completely agree, when you read this, you're not going to be confused, right? And to avoid that confusion, what am I doing to make things clear for you, even if I'm discussing the other side, is the language. Okay? If I say it as if it's my opinion, and I say this one is in my opinion, but I don't use linky words properly, you will be confused. Imagine if instead of this one, now, I will say this one. It's a very confusing structure. You'll see for yourself. I will say first, and I say second. First here, and then, or moreover, furthermore, whatever, I say second. Or anything similar, moreover. Do you see the confusion now? These ideas, these two parts, paragraphs, are completely opposite. Instead of using a proper linking word to show that contrast, I use first and second. Confusing? Very, very confusing. So you don't want to do that, okay? So you need to think kind of logically about what you're saying. That's why we have a solid plan. And in this plan, we need to have however, or if you learn to develop your thinking properly, when you're starting this, when we move on to the other side, you naturally actually say, first of all, no, or but, or something. You say that in the speaking, actually. Most people, linking words come naturally to us if we follow our ideas logically, like that. All of these questions that I'm asking you, like why, how, they become linking words some way, or grammar structures that are used to link ideas. Here I don't need it, obviously, but whenever I say example, it's like, for example, or I can come up with anything like consider one very popular tradition all over the world, that is weddings, and especially the ones that are extravagant. And what about it? And then I don't need to convert this into a linky word, but I can just start with if people, or the problem with such weddings. Even the word such is a referencing tool, which is part of cohesion and coherence. See, this is how we link ideas and everything. That's why it's so good. Makes sense, right? So this would be the wrong way to do it. Do not do it like that. And if we want to structure for this one, you just do the opposite. You start with, on the one hand, some traditions are good, but most traditions, you switch, you swap them. So you would say some traditions are bad, but most are good. You just switch. Make sense? So this kind of thinking helps you to think of at least two ideas. Now, why am I suggesting like that? Is there a way where we can just choose one side, like we just agree, and give two reasons why we agree, or two reasons why we disagree? Absolutely. But the problem I found actually with that kind of thinking, under exam conditions, when you are already tired after reading, listening, your brain is going to struggle to come up with something new. It's very difficult. I don't know if you've experienced that before, but I have. And when I couldn't come up with two reasons for simple question once in one of my exams, I really wanted to choose one side, but I couldn't. I barely had one idea for one side. And then I thought, hey, I can't come up with another idea. So can I just look at the other side and then argue it as if it's other people's opinion? Boom, that's it. That hit me. It's like a debate. Speaking or writing, generating ideas is like a debate, people. Seriously, it's a brilliant thing. While creating ideas, think of it as a debate. Does it help? I don't know. Because that's what we do, when we debate. We have our own side, but then we think about what other people might say, and then why we have to prove that they're wrong. So that's what we do. So I thought about it. That's it. Every time I write, I'm having a debate. That's how, when I'm thinking about possible questions here, do I need more support? I'm as if I'm having a debate with the other side. And when I'm doing this side, I'm having a debate with this side. Now, this idea of debate, does it sound difficult for you guys? What do you think? Tell me honestly. All of this that I'm telling you, all this critical thinking, debating, argumentation, do they sound simple enough for you guys? Or do they seem like, oh my God, this is a whole new different skill. I don't know how to do this. It's too difficult in writing. Tell me honestly, because if you say that it's difficult, maybe we can actually practice a little bit right now, or I can show you in easier, simpler ways how to do it. But if you say you get it, no, manageable, not that difficult, we'll move on to the next. All right. People are saying clear, easy. Thank you. Anybody would struggle any of it. Thank you. Explanation is all clear so far, right? Okay. It might seem easy because you're familiar with the topic. And if the topic is difficult, it might be more difficult. I see. That makes sense too. Sure. Well, what we can do in that case is, I mean, it's logical, right? When the topic is easy, you have plenty of this, like, things to say and you don't struggle with it. But I would say, you see, I would argue with that as well right now. Just because the topic is easy, that you have thought about it, does not mean you can create great ideas or relevant ideas, or you can develop them. So I need you to think about this, because this idea, I think, is okay. Yeah, we'll talk about this as well. Exactly. Now, I'll tell you this one thing because it's important. When we think like, if the topic is easy, if I know it, then I'm going to do a good job, that is, mindset wise, it's limiting you. You are signaling to your brain. Imagine your brain is your child, right? And seriously, like, whatever you tell your brain, that child is going to know that, and it's going to continue thinking like that. If you limit that child to think, you will do well with the topics when the topic is easy for you. If it's difficult, well, you will struggle. You kind of prepping that child to failure later, right? Because their knowledge, their skills will become conditional to the topic that is easy for them. Now, I wouldn't want that. I wouldn't want myself to think like that, or anyone, honestly. So what's the alternative? I want to believe in the right mindset, the growth mindset by Carol Dweck, where she talked about we can improve any topic. I like to not to limit myself. I like to believe that there are ways we can manage any task if we just know how to do it, if we know how to think. And thinking is a systematic process. There are patterns. All of this to show you us people, like how we develop this one idea right now, right? I hope you're not thinking it's easy for you because you know the topic. You just ask such questions, develop any topic. I'm going to show you how. Like, we can talk about difficult topics like crime. Maybe weddings, yes, you have seen, you've been part of that in the past somehow, so you're familiar with it. Then you might say, what about animals, endangered species, crime, science project, exploration, space exploration, or government funding? What about those? But you know what? If you tell yourself that you can develop any topic with the right tools, you can develop any topic. You don't need to have that prior knowledge. What we want to do is be, let's say, professional, a doctor, nurse, a plumber, if you will, like, doesn't matter. And you have a bag of tools, imagine. Yeah, like all these professions will have some tools to use. Now, anytime they get a call to go and solve a problem, they may not have always the perfect tools for every single situation, but they know how to use some of their tools to replace one other tool that they need. Most of the time they can do it well. Real professionals, they will not be like, oh, I have only a pen and I have a piece of paper. Oh, I can only write. That's it. There's nothing else I can do with these two. But actually, if you think about it, there are so many other things you can do with these two things. You can create a plane with it. I don't know, like play with it, or games, or flag, or something, like this thing does not only have to write, it can hold, it can poke a hole in that thing. So there's so many things you can do, when you don't limit yourself, think like that, broader way. If I know how to develop an idea with questions and everything, if I know how to connect my knowledge with something that I have seen before, I can do it. That's my growth mindset. That's why when writing is about to start under exam conditions, I don't have those panicky modes, stress anymore. But I used to have them all the time because I used to think that something else mattered. I needed to do something else. Examiners cared about another thing. But now I know what examiners want. They just want logical ideas that are easily developed, and I can use structure like that and answer those questions. I hope this helps. Please, think about it, even in the speaking, even when the tough questions you get, you will do the same thing, really. It's a pattern, it's a structure you can use, or formula, if you will, that you can use to answer any question. Believe that, and your brain will also believe that positive message you tell yourself, that child inside of you. If you tell that to that child, like, you can do anything, here's how you do it, here's how you can get, like, okay, not perfectly maybe every single time, but you get better every time that you do it. That child is going to grow positive and believe that he should, like, can do it. But if you tell them, like, oh, you are as good as your knowledge on the topic, then you kind of create fear in them. Next time they get a question, they will be like, what if I get a tough topic? What if I cannot answer this question? What if it's something I've never thought about? And when you tell such messages to yourself, how do you feel? I feel like pressure on my stomach. It's like, ooh, what if I get tough topic? I don't do that. I tell myself I can handle any topic because I know how to do it. I will visualize, I will think of things that I know already. I connect to everything I know. And that way, it feels like powerful. I feel like, oh, I can do it. I don't care if I can really do it perfectly or not. It's not the problem because I haven't even created the thing. But it gives me that positive boost of energy to be able to believe that I can do it. And I'll try and see what happens, like that. So in that sense, I'm not a perfectionist, really. I just want to see what I can do, tell myself positive messages to help myself. All right. Okay. So another question we had was, what does it depend on the question? I think this person, Jamila, you mean whether we can answer questions like both sides like that, right? I would say this applies to any question whenever you ask for your opinion. I would say, I don't think in terms of question types because, okay, so let's say this is opinion, right? Because it's asking for your opinion. We can do the same with discussion. We can do it in a problem solution. Like, imagine the question is, well, I will simplify this question for you, or problem solution. Recently, we're talking about food waste. And the question was, why people waste food? Let's write it down a little bit. Now, question types don't really matter. It's like speaking, during the speaking, if you ever notice, we get so many different question types, but we never think about it. We're not really taught to think in terms of that. But when it comes to writing, unfortunately, many schools, people teach writing according to question types. And I think that kind of limits a little bit. I see the benefits of that as well, but there are also some challenges that come with that, like classifying the questions, categorizing them, because then it creates a little bit of confusion, or more questions like, what if I get a different question? Can I do that? I believe I don't really care about the questions. I can answer them anyway, as long as I think about it. For example, let's talk about food waste, right? And the question is problem solution, why this happens and what can we do to stop wasting? Let's say that's the question. My process of thinking is going to be exactly the same. I will look at two sides right away. If we understand the question, right? My question, why are we wasting food? Why we waste food? I need to come up with, now, this question, it's asking for reason, but the reasons are your opinion, your argument. So if you think about it, it's kind of opinion anyways. You need to come up with maybe one reason why we waste food, and maybe second reason, right? So one reason why we waste food, and maybe second reason if you can. If not, that was one. Depends on the way question is phrased. You see, if the question just asks why we waste food, even one idea is enough. Not because it's the rule, but because of the way question is phrased. Because it's not asking you for two ideas. But here, if you notice, I'm asking, or the question is phrased like solutions. Like, what are the solutions? What are the ways we can reduce food waste? So it's clearly asking for two, and I will need to. I'm following the question simply. I'm just giving the examiner what they're asking me to do. So, but if it was also like, what is one thing we can do? Then I'll just give one. But if I can come up with two and I have time to develop and write all of that, then I can give two. So, it doesn't limit me like that. At least two. Three would be too much because it requires more time to think and develop ideas. So unless I'm a very good typist, I wouldn't go for three ideas. Two, I can manage. One, maybe not enough because I'm very argumentative. I have a lot of things to say like that. In the same way now, if you think about it, when you're giving solutions, right? Every solution you give is your opinion. You created that. It's your reasoning. See? So even if we say, now, first solution is whatever your idea is, it's your idea. And now we develop it again in the same way. Why the solution? I can ask questions like, what is one solution? Oh, this is the solution. Why it would work? How does it work? Can you give me an example? Like, do you know anyone who has actually tried your solution? Maybe you, maybe somebody else, the countries, organizations or whatever, that tried and it worked? So that's why it really works. There you go. Awesome. Now, can you think of one more solution? If you can't, you just go and explain that. See? That's why I don't see it in question types, because everything we say, like whatever the question is, double question, agreed, disagreed, advantages, disadvantages, with your opinion, without your opinion, they're all your arguments. That's why look at them as arguments, and you have to develop each one. When you give a reason here, you'll have to explain, well, first of all, say what the reason is, right? So we have also here, what, why, etc. The same way here. What is your reason that people waste, in your opinion, that results in food wastage? What? Why is that? How? Maybe example. So compare, contrast, consequences or something. You can talk about the consequences. So is like consequences, impacts sometimes. Yeah? So keep telling me and then connect with your solution or write them separately, your choice. There are two ways, yeah? Like that. Make sense? So anytime, even if the question is just advantages. Now let's practice with another question type so you have a full understanding. Advantages and disadvantages. Let's sell cars. Let's simplify it like that. Yeah, that's it. Now I divided into two columns again, and I'll just talk about advantages of cars. Question is asking for advantages, so I'll have to give two. But if it's an advantage, then I might give just one. So you gotta be careful about that. And here, disadvantages of cars. Again, I will be like, one disadvantage is this. What is it? Why is that a disadvantage? How is that a problem? Why? How? Give me an example to support your idea. So that's why it's a problem. The same with advantages. One advantage of car is this. And here's why, how. Here's example. So you see that's a problem? It's a problem or advantage. Make sense? So either way, it's argumentative. Now, another question, like, okay, if we talk about question types, then in addition to advantages, sometimes the question asks for our opinion. Then what you do? You weigh pros and cons like that after you discuss them, and then you'll just add. After, like, you'll add your opinion. Here, it's not asking for your opinion, so you don't give. You need to learn how to listen to the question or read the question so that you know what is it really asking you to do. If it's asking for your opinion, you must give it. If it's not asking, don't give it. Yeah. So here it's asking. Honestly, I really do not like cars so much. So I'm gonna go with that are more disadvantages. I might say like, here's my position. While there are some advantages to cars, I believe drawbacks are more, disadvantages are more. That's it. You see? Now this position matched my plan. I did what the examiner asked me to do. I talked about advantages. I supported them with examples and everything. But I say that there are more problems, and I explained what the problems are, those disadvantages, why, how, etc. Yeah, we need to do too. Make sense? And one more. So far, questions about these question types thing, whether we can answer it this way or not. If you have questions, let me know now. I will answer them. Otherwise, we can keep going. Ooh, it's 11:37 already. 1.5 hours. We're on such a roll. I'm loving this, honestly, people. Great questions. So far going well. So is it clear? All right, cool. Okay. So we talked about question types. We talked about so far how to have the right mindset, how to plan and how to think. All right. Okay, the topic of traditions. Easy, yeah, I think you got it, people. Do you feel it's easy? So shall we look at some tougher topic? Ooh, Saloma asked us actually a very tough question about something about governments and stuff. So, and this could be your homework, people. Okay, you can try to like experiment with it. You can try with easier question at home, like plan and then write your essay or paragraphs and send your work. Or we can try, tougher ones, and then you can do tougher ones if you feel like this easy. But again, just because the topic is easy does not mean you're going to get 7, 8, so that is one thing. We don't want to have such assumptions. Either way, whether examiners don't care if they're giving you an easy question or a tough question, right? Because they're still giving you, and they're still assessing you based on that 4 criteria. Really, they don't care if the question is easy or difficult. Whatever it is, it is what it is. So you need to learn how to deal with what's given. And that's what I'm trying to guys tell you, because that's how I prepare myself for all of this. I don't care if the question is easy or difficult. I actually love interesting, tough questions. Easier questions are too easy. It's a bit boring. Anyways, okay. And then you can reflect, all right? After, if you do this, if you write on another plan and topic and then write it, just kind of see how you feel, yourself when you plan and then write. Should be a lot easier. Okay. We talked about the mindset. Nice. We talked about how to generate ideas, right? Like visualization, personalization. And we're going to try this even with difficult topic right now. I really want you to trust me on this, or believe me. I don't know. I'm going to sell this idea to you guys. I'll do my best. And you can start small, like with yourself. And then you can start growing that into friends, family, society, then country, culture, and compare other countries. There's one more method called Mashlak to generate ideas. But this could give you too many ideas. Sometimes it could be a little crazy. I don't personally use this myself, but if you like, you could. So Mashlak, M stands for money. Money-wise, financially, can you think of anything to say? E stands for environment, environmentally speaking. And this environment thing could be anything, like family, friends, that's your environment when you grow up, your society, or it could be like literal environment with nature, trees, oxygen, etc. So think broader terms, okay? Environmentally speaking, can you think of anything to say? Next is S. This stands for safety. In terms of safety, any problems, any ideas? Something is maybe safer, better, not public transportation or productions or whatever, So H stands for health, like health-wise, mental, physical, emotional health, any benefits or challenges. And next one is L. This is law or like legal stuff or a lifestyle. In terms of people's lifestyle. So earlier discussion kind of fits into that, really. And next E is education, and final one is culture. C is culture. Culturally speaking, anything good, bad that comes to mind? Like that, okay? This could really generate a lot of ideas, actually. But what's good about it is that when, like, out of nowhere, you get a question and for some reason you can't think, you can generate like that. Just come up with something. And you just need 2. Don't try to come up with ideas for everything. If you have already good ideas for money and environment, maybe that could be enough. You don't have to keep going. Or culture, education might be similar sometimes, or even lifestyle. So you can come up with, using these 3 letters, come up with one idea, and then come up with one more like health or something a little different. So it's not like, very, very similar. And that way you got it. That's it. But after you create ideas, there's one danger, or not necessarily danger, but important note to keep in mind when you use Mashlak is after you created ideas, check your ideas. Let's put it like that. Check your ideas and see if they're relevant. Ideas for relevance, because you might come up with crazy bunch of ideas. Honestly, this is too powerful. May not actually fit the question at all. So you don't want to, write off topic or irrelevant ideas. So that's why, okay? Check if it's on topic. Sure. Okay. So a person says, follower says, let's talk about specific ideas versus general ideas. Does it matter? Of course. We don't want to be too general. Like, you see, these ideas might give us something very general or irrelevant ideas sometimes. You might kind of lose track, when you are excited, you have but that's why I don't like brainstorming, because when it's brainstorming, that means you come on guys, like many ideas, toss, like whatever you come up with. That might not be a good thing, because or it might be a good thing at the beginning, but then you have to sort out, It's like, imagine you are running a company, you are the director, you want to create a product, or you want to solve a problem with a particular product. One of your product is not selling well, imagine, in your business, and you want solutions. Why? What can we do? And you have a team of, 15 people, 10 people, 5 people, and each one of them is giving you ideas like why, solution, or something. And some of them might give you something really good, and some of them might give you an off-topic idea or idea that doesn't help, or something that you already tried, it didn't work. So you need to be like listening to the ideas and then sort out which really works for you, or which you can do now. Some of the ideas might be too expensive or difficult to do, so you got to sort out. Okay. Yes, of course, I will share these. Definitely. That's why I'm checking the quality and everything. I wanted to make sure that it records well, so I can share all of this with you guys. Okay, so you got it, yeah? Like, ideas need to be relevant. Specific, general, I'm not sure I understand what that means, honestly. As long as your idea answers the question, as long as you can develop that idea. One thing I might say is that when we say ideas, they are not, like, ideas does not mean information. Please notice that. IELTS is not asking ever, except for in task 1 writing, where you have to focus on facts, information, specific data. You don't make assumptions. You don't give your opinion. In task 2, everything you say is ideas, and ideas are not facts. Your opinion can be anything, okay? It doesn't even have to be true, but as long as it's relevant. Information is facts, knowledge-based stuff. Now, you don't really need, if you have it, good, but make sure, even if you are really knowledgeable on the topic, whatever the topic is, please do not write the essay as if you are writing it to another, how do I, no. Okay, not information. And idea is not information. Idea is something you formulate through experiences and vision. I can tell you, my idea is that I'm drinking green tea right now, and I really like it. It's great. I think green tea has lots of benefits, I like green tea. It's helpful. It's better than coffee, I realized recently. That's all my opinion, but I'm not giving you information. Now, imagine if I was a tea expert, okay, or I'm a medical professional. Do you think I'll be speaking like that to other medical professionals and experts at a conference? No, I will be telling you the ingredients of tea, what tea is made of, what kind of, all these little ingredients, chemicals, or not maybe chemical, but, technical details about tea, and compare contrast that with coffee. And I'll tell you a bunch of research-based facts that I have that support my idea that coffee is better or something. I'll be speaking like that. Now, that might be good, necessary in some places, like if I'm talking to other, professionals and experts at a conference. And if the audience wants information, then that's what I need to do. But in IELTS, you don't need information. In IELTS, you just need opinions. Like, maybe something small like, green tea is actually full of antioxidants, which helps you to feel fresh without anxiety. Now, coffee also helps you to feel fresh because also it has antioxidants, but it tends to make people feel anxious a little bit if they overdo it, especially. That's it. I can explain this idea not through science or information or fact, but through experiences. That's what IELTS needs. Examiners don't expect to have expert knowledge. You don't need that, really. Even if you do, avoid it, save it for other times, not for IELTS. Make sense? Okay, so far we're answering the questions. All right. What is this? If I'm given a completely unfamiliar topic about horizontal housing. Well, that's just the vocabulary thing. Somebody says like horizontal housing. We have vertical, horizontal. It's just the vocabulary. Traditionally, houses were built horizontally, like covering more space, because we didn't know that there was a way to build upwards, or we didn't know the technology for it, or like how to do it properly. But now, as you can see, because of lack of space, or maybe style, luxury, or whatever, more and more houses are being built upwards, taller buildings to save space, essentially, really. Yeah, like land is a luxury today. And that is horizontal. How to develop an idea? We can actually think about it. Like, I am sure you have seen such houses. I am sure you have lived in some of them or both, or you have seen at least in pictures and movies. So now you can use Mesh-like, for example, to generate ideas for benefits for vertical housing and for vertical housing. Maybe you could, right away, you might feel, if you have actually experienced that, or you might have heard from friends, like during earthquakes, even mild earthquakes, people who live in taller buildings usually feel it, and it's scary. It's not good, right? For your mental health. That's it. One argument. Tall houses might be good, beautiful, maybe, safe space, good for the economy, for the government, lack of land, blah, blah. Maybe for the environment in some way, but for people living inside, it can be a little dangerous. Now, vertical, like horizontal housing is safer. That's it. It's better, right? You can have more space, actually. If you have lived, visualize, like compare in your head, in your house, or most people, when they have houses like horizontal, they usually have a little backyard, they can build a small kind of space, park for themselves, garden for themselves, not park, sorry, garden, with some trees, some flowers or something, a little bit of gardening. But in tall houses, it's usually, it's very tricky, right? Most of the time we don't really see that, unless we're talking about some very, very extravagant, high-end, high rises where we see combination of both. But this is like a recent development, slowly I think maybe they will also add because they realize the importance of nature trees around you. So they might. But you see, I already created ideas right now. And if the question is which is better, honestly, I would go for houses, because I've lived both and I love house. I love when there's rooms and space. I love space, I don't like people living above me or under me, especially if it's not done well, Yeah, like if the structural integrity of the building is so weak that you can even hear your neighbors from sides or from top or bottom. So I don't want that. Or I don't want me to be a problem for people living, like downstairs. So yeah, that's it. That's it. Now, these ideas that I'm telling, are they difficult? Are they difficult to generate, to come up with? Are they based on information or ideas? Based on personal experiences that I've lived through, that I've imagined, that I've seen before, that I'm familiar with? I hope not. And if you think they're difficult still too, maybe it's okay. With preparation, you'll get better, actually. That's why it's important to, while you're preparing for writing, it's important not just to write essays all the time, but just plan and think, get new questions and plan. That could be very, very helpful as well. Okay. All right, it's almost 2 hours. All right, okay. So, all right, let's speed things up a little bit. You probably have other plans on Sunday, people. I get it. Okay, so we've talked about it. We are simplifying. We learned actually a lot of things, but I wanted to try maybe one difficult question. I wanted to show you how the same applies, really. You can study this sample here later to compare contrast. We talked about a lot of this already. Nice idea development by asking questions, really. I'm going to show you now with the next topic, people. Okay, for those who are still here, hope you're finding it useful, but I'm going to show you how to apply everything we talked about. Ooh, okay, how is this? Okay, one question we're going to practice right now. Two questions. There was one question about, can't find it. Where is it? It's about government something. Oh, here. Okay, two questions we're gonna do right now. And those who cannot watch this now, whatever, they have to go, you can at least watch the video later. Okay, so two questions. for those who are still here. One is about any country selling goods like food, electronics, vehicles to other countries without government restriction. Now, you must know what is restriction, obviously. That's, if you don't know, you could look it up, learn vocabulary, right? Improve. So, because if you're not, then you may not be able to go further. So selling stuff to other countries without government restriction. So we're going to talk about that. And we're going to talk about crime, criminals. So these are tough topics, I believe, actually, tough in a way that this is not something you think about every day. So, but I am sure we could connect with it somehow, based on some experiences. So let's talk about this one. I'll show you like a brief way, because I know you guys, okay, we've been already spending 2 hours on this. But if you want to participate, why don't you plan, okay? I will plan my way, my own ideas right now. And then you guys will plan your ideas on a piece of paper, and you can share your ideas. Okay, let me give you like maybe 2 minutes. 2 minutes is actually enough. Look at it like a speaking. If you want to do that, you can do it, and we can compare. Okay, so what am I saying? Any country should be able to sell. So the question, if I simplify, so let's simplify first. Simplify. Countries should be able to sell things to other countries without government rules, maybe restrictions or rules. I'm going to simplify. That's it. You agree, disagree? From this one, it should be kind of easier. Now, to come up with more ideas, I would like you to think about products that you buy. Connect to yourself, like personal, at a personal level. Do you buy anything that is foreign made? I mean, this has become a lot easier now, right? Again, yes and no right away. So one of the things you want to think about your shopping experiences or things you have at home. That's how I'm navigating, that's how I'm thinking about it, to come up with ideas, relevant ideas, to make it easier for myself. I'm not looking at it from the perspective of an economist or some official who works for the government or whatever. No. I'm going to keep it simple. Shopping or things you have at home. Do you have foreign products? I bet you do, right? Foreign things at your home. Do you? Like food. For example, I have Korean noodles. I love those Korean noodles. I have them. I love them. I didn't go to Korea to buy them. I just go to this one particular store. They bring actually Korean products, and they sell here, and I love those. What about computer that I'm using right now? That's also foreign. It's not local. Although probably I bought it in the US, I'm not sure. But anyways, could you buy a foreign computer here in this country or any other country? I guess, yes, like many places you can. Phones. I have a notebook in front of me, and that is not local. It's made in somewhere in China. Beautiful colourbook. So like that, you see, I'm connecting with it. Okay. Yes, I have a bunch of stuff. Now I need to think about it. Now, are there any regulations or rules for such products? What do you think? By government? Probably yes, right? Like they might have some rules, like it should be safe to eat. Like if we talk about those noodles, maybe companies should pay some taxes so that I learned recently that the noodles that I buy here at a price of whatever in Korea, actually they cost much cheaper. So, and I don't mind paying that a little extra because I'm not going there. But why am I paying more here? Because businesses are adding some tax. Maybe government has some taxes. Some businesses are making money, so they keep making money, bringing in, noodles. So I can just go and buy whenever I want without going to Korea to get those noodles. So there are some rules about safety and maybe taxes, payment money. What happens if there were no rules? Oh, that would be a disaster, probably. Companies producing whatever they want, people bring whatever they want, like unhealthy stuff maybe, or unchecked stuff. What if they bring a computer that doesn't actually work and I don't check it on time and I buy it and I bring it and then I realize that it's not working and then I go back to the company that I bought it and then say like it's not working and they're like, well, when we got it from that country, it was working. It's not our problem. See, like there should be some regulation. So it's good. But should there be too many regulations? What is too many regulations? When they have to pay excessively or government checks excessively, too much paperwork, it could really slow down their businesses, or it could tell them what they can bring and what they cannot based on some other arbitrary, ridiculous ideas, then yeah, it could limit businesses. It could limit globalization. If you couldn't have certain products because of just some government rules, not because they are fair or right or healthy or smart, but just because some government official decided that, no, you're not going to have Korean noodles in Uzbekistan. People should eat local food. That would be ridiculous because that would be limiting people's choices. And just because some people eat Korean noodles doesn't mean they don't eat local food or some other things. It's nice to have variety. It makes your life more interesting, richer, global awareness. It will soon enough, appreciation of other cultures. It's a nice thing to do, to have. So yeah, I wouldn't want to have crazy rules like that. But some rules, yes. Okay, there you go. I already have my idea. Now I just need to write them down before I forget. Can you follow my plan, people? My thoughts so far? I hope so. You can write them down, but just to be faster, because as you notice, I'm not that fast typist. I'm not going to write these now, but maybe I will add the notes that I just told you in the notes in the plan, and then you can read it later, the file. Okay. For now, I already said it. So if you're listening, you can get those ideas. That way, my overall position is countries should be able to sell anything. No, there should be some rules to protect consumer rights. To regulate the prices, because some businesses might bring a product from foreign countries and sell it whatever they want. I don't know, or restrict them unnecessarily. So some rules good, but not too excessive, too crazy. That's my position, because having foreign products is a good thing. Now, let me check before I start writing. Am I answering the question? Any country should be able to sell goods to others without. No, I'm disagreeing with the question. Not partly. I support some restrictions, but not all restrictions. That's it. Now, if we look at another one, okay, criminals. Some people say all criminals, extreme language. It's there for you to help you. They're saying all for a reason. They're checking if you really notice this little thing, and all criminals should be sent to jail, while other things, minor crimes, deserve alternative punishment such as community service. Discuss both views and give your opinion. Or what do you think? I will talk about why some people say all criminals should go to jail, while some people think that we need other solutions or other methods of punishment, and what I think. Yeah, I'll just give you a spoken version of it, please, also, so for the sake of time to be faster, and I'll let you go. But then I will send the maybe typed version of the plan. So here's what I'm thinking. All criminals. I'm thinking about all kinds of criminals, like serial killers, murderers, rapists, terrorists, drug dealers, or simple, fraudulent, like frauds, maybe people who steal, scammers. All of those criminals should be sent to jail. Some people are saying. Why they would say that first? It might be if all of them go to jail right away. Maybe it's faster, it doesn't matter what you did. Just go to jail. That's it. So it's faster. Faster in what way? Faster to judge. Because normally, you probably know from the movies you have seen what happens when criminals are caught, There's a whole process of trial, lawyers, judge, deciding why this happened, what happened, deciding what to do about it. It's time consuming, first of all. Second of all, sometimes, I was also going to say that sometimes the judgment might not be fair, because judges can have the final word. And if they decide that you deserve to go to jail, even if you don't really deserve, that's it. It's going to be very hard. You have to appeal. It's a very time consuming process. So it could be tricky. But if everyone's go to jail, that's it. Seems like fair, maybe. fast and cheaper. You don't have to spend a lot of money, because all these judges, lawyers, defense, trial, security, holding cells, all of that takes money. So when we don't have to go through that process, we just cut it. Everyone goes to jail faster, cheaper. It can also be good because we are telling future criminals, we're sending them a signal. It's like, whatever you do, we don't care. You're just going to go to jail. If you want to go to jail, keep doing whatever you're doing. If you don't want to do that, then maybe stop. Don't engage in crime. So like a powerful message, maybe it could stop some people. So preventative measure. Okay, now like 3 ideas. Maybe I can combine fast with saving money as one and call it efficiency. Okay, and then the second one is preventative measure. There, 2 ideas. You see how again we already structure it. The other side would be now why some minor crimes do not deserve jail and we need something else. Yes, of course. That's also true. Why? Because minor criminals like shoplifting, what if they don't deserve it? It's not fair to send the guy who, say, murders someone and who just shoplifts some candy or Coke or, I don't know, some food or something. Okay, fine, TV. They don't deserve equally to go to jail. What if they go and they learn from each other? I mean, at least the minor guy, like who shoplifted, learned something from the other guy, So that's not good. It might also be not really helpful because the person that stole something minor goes to jail. They're not going to go to jail for the same time, right? So that the murderer goes out like 20 years or for life, but shoplifter goes to jail for, let's say, 1 year, 1 month, couple of weeks or whatever. It's going to be bad on their reputation because now they will have a record that they went to jail, and that could ruin their reputation. What if they learned their lesson? What if it was the one-time thing, they just had no choice or whatever? Even if it was prank, like stupidity, yeah, but something minor, it's not a big deal. Why they need to get this mark, and stigma, for life later. Everyone now that everybody knows about their background, their history, they'll be like, oh, you've been to jail. That's thank you. We don't want to hire you. We don't want to be friends with you. That could be very tricky, especially in a world where we are surrounded by, such stereotypes. So it might not be real. Like we might actually potentially ruin people's lives. And also it doesn't really help them learn. Sometimes community service could be more useful to get out of those criminals than actually punish them by putting them in a cell and looking after them there, feeding them somehow, whatever. So they just do nothing. It's better to put them into work, teach them a valuable lesson, rehabilitate. Oh, speaking of rehabilitation, what about some criminals that really need help? They don't need punishment. You're not going to change them in any way. But if you want to help them to become better members of society, maybe other methods are necessary, like rehabilitation, medical help, support of some sort. Maybe they're stealing because they have to. They have to feed their family because the economy is so bad in the place that they live. Or there's a coercion, somebody's forcing them to steal or do something nasty, especially with, internet world. Hackers, like some hackers might be hired to do something and threatened, with their life if they don't do it. So stuff like that, So I have now too many ideas, but I have ideas. So I'm just going to write them down and I'm going to choose only 2 for a side. And I'm going to choose, what do I think? Obviously, I disagree. Not all criminals deserve to be sent to jail. Some of them need other solutions. Some might need jail, but others need some additional help. That's it. I put it into a plan. Next step would be to write. Using whatever language you're comfortable with, that you are capable of, you write. So this, so far, okay, we didn't have much time to talk about cohesion and coherence. Wow, I didn't expect that we would do it more time. Or I just kept talking too much, I don't know. We talked mostly about task response people and cohesion coherence for the paragraph structure or structuring. And partly I touched on how these questions that we ask turn into logical development of the ideas, which is helpful as cohesion and coherence, and some linking words. But this topic is a little bit broader than that, and we could cover this actually more maybe next time separately. For now, I hope you learned how to plan, how to simplify things, how to make things easier for yourself, whether you get an easy question or a tough question. I hope. If it's not enough, then we can probably cover more in the future. Okay? So you can analyze further and practice planning more on different topics and share your plan, or or you're writing, write paragraphs. Start small. You can just develop this one idea with one argument. Just put this plan into a paragraph. How would you feel? How would you do it? Just start with right over here. That's it. Imagine that you already have your introduction. You're writing a body paragraph one. How would you write it? How much it would take you? And how would you feel about it? If you can write it in less than 10 minutes, this right now, you're already doing great. And you will do great, even better on the exam conditions. Okay? You don't want to spend too much time, especially not thinking about vocabulary, fancy vocabulary while writing it. Just write it like however you can, put it into complete sentences, and then improve it if you want. That's how you do it. Okay? All right, you guys. Any questions so far? Oh, some people planned. Nice job, people. Great, I'll look through them later. Public safety, should not be sent. Exactly, thank you. Oh yeah, overcrowded prisons. And that is going to be more money for the government. And government paying it, taxpayers are paying it. So we'll be wasting money like that. No, not beneficial. Yeah. Awesome. Any questions, people? Feel free to continue sharing your thoughts. I think you should be able to do that in the comments, no problem. But any question right now for anyone based on everything I've talked about so far? Yes, people? No? Learn to practice thinking, idea generation, okay? Make it a separate practice. Every day, 5 questions or 2 questions, whatever, depending on how much time you have. I hope so. I do plan to conduct more sessions like that. If they're useful, if people, learning something, absolutely, I would love that. Any questions? Oh, yeah. What we could do with another session. Yeah, okay. I will write paragraphs based on these plans. Since we've talked about like 3 essay questions at least. That would be nice. I like that idea. Absolutely. All right, people. You also practice writing, planning like that, okay? You'll get better at it, I promise you. Like I said, at the beginning, I was spending 12 minutes on planning, but now I spend 2 to 4 minutes, really. If the question is a little tough, I haven't thought about it much before, I need more time to think about it. So I spend 4 minutes. Even if it's 7, it's okay. But normally I discovered that I spend actually 2 minutes on a part 2, like under exam conditions. Yeah, even in the real exam, I spend 2 minutes. Because I have already trained my brain to think, like this way, that way. And these questions come naturally to me, really. I don't have to think that hard about what to do because I know, like, I have discovered certain patterns and easier ways to do it. I feel like it helps me with most of the time. I do the same for the speaking. So I got frustrated over time by practicing it a lot. And I also, game changer was when I realized that I could even the planning, I could approach it like I do it with the speaking. Because during the speaking part 3 or 1, part 1 is not really relevant, but part 3, I would say. Yeah, like part 3, speaking. You get such questions, like little tough questions, general broader questions. And there, I don't need 10 minutes to plan and structure my ideas, right? I already give 2 ideas in my speaking and I develop them briefly. I learned that when I do it like that, I could even spend less time on planning, but have a very good plan anyways. So that was a game changer. And that's how I learned to spend less than 7 minutes. And then now 2 to 4 minutes. Okay. So you get better at it by practicing, people. All right. Thank you so much. It's hard to plan like this in the beginning, how much time it can actually take to get accustomed. Well, it depends on you, really. Look, I'm telling you this one thing with planning. I remember the first time I had a very good, solid plan. Again, you might think that I'm writing in complete sentence like that. That's why it might seem like time consuming, but it's not. Okay, maybe we can do another session where I try to write shorter. I was just writing it for your benefit, so you'll understand better. But I actually spent shorter versions of plan like that, 2 to 4 minutes. But when I started like that for the first time, I remember spending about 12 minutes. Then I kept doing it because I was really enjoying it, and I had no problem writing enough words afterwards. So there was no problem. But I realized that I wanted to do it even faster. So in one of my exams, actually, I was like, okay, if I'm going to spend 12 minutes on planning and then 20, 30 minutes writing, then I need time to check my work. Then I need to plan task 1 and then write task 1 and check my work. Do I really need to spend this much time? It was a moment of revelation. Like, why am I spending 7 minutes on planning while in speaking, I do it in seconds and I speak, like, okay, maybe 10 seconds. Why am I spending so much? That's when I was like, boom, okay, that's it. I'm going to do it like that. And I learned in speaking, I visualize and structure my thoughts right away and sort them out because I've been training like that for a long time. I realized that I could do it like that. And that's when automatically I spent about like 7 minutes on that day, on the exam day. That's when I realized, actually. It was back in the days in paper. I was in British Council office. It was a fancy, beautiful place where we had them. I remember that idea occurred to me at that time. And then I spent 7 minutes. And that's it. And I was like, whoa, I discovered a secret, and I kept doing that. And now then I started doing like 4 or 5, and now my record is 2 minutes. I don't think I need to do it any faster than that, but yeah. Okay. So this is how you might progress. How soon that happens to you overall is up to you, really, because I have some amazing students who do that also in 2 to 4 minutes in class. When I give them a task to plan, some of them can do it really fast and they can improve over time. The more you improve your intelligence overall, your thinking skills, the faster and better you get. Okay? Believe it, you can get better at it if you just work on it, if you practice. Don't worry about how long it takes. It'll take how long it takes for you.